Hello there. I want to talk about the famous "the Torah is not in heaven" statement from the Talmud. The story is found in Bava Metzia 59b, and many anti-rabbinical Christians and even Messianic believers, Torah-observant Christians, all use this story. They're pretty familiar with it, and they use it as a kind of proof that the rabbis are bad, that they're so full of themselves that they are even willing to just completely ignore God, that all the rabbis and all their rulings and everything are just spitting in the face of God constantly. So I want to talk about that story and that really, really bad interpretation of it. And the reason I want to talk about it is I'm currently writing an article, and as I was writing it, I was reminded of this story, and I just couldn't help but bring the two together, and so now I want to cue you in on my thoughts. More on the article that I'm writing later. It'll be released soon, probably next week. But let's jump into the story. They're talking about a ruling on a particular oven known as an oven of Achnai. The particular details of the oven and Rabbi Akiva's stance on it are not relevant to the point I'm making, so I'm just going to gloss over that. Rabbi Eliezer has a dissenting opinion on the purity status of this particular oven. And Rabbi Eliezer answers all possible answers in the world to support his opinion, but the rabbis did not accept his explanations. And so Rabbi Eliezer starts to call on a series of miracles to sort of prove his point. He makes a stream flow backwards, and the rabbis respond, "We don't listen to streams." He makes a tree get up and move to another location, and the rabbis go, "We don't listen to trees." He makes the walls of the study cave in, only to be stopped by Rabbi Yehoshua, and they, once again, "We don't listen to walls." Finally, Rabbi Akiva's had enough, and he calls on heaven itself to come down and support his opinion. Lo and behold, a voice from heaven comes down and says, "My opinion is with Rabbi Eliezer." And then the famous line is said, "The Torah is not in heaven." The chutzpah of this guy. And the typical argument is, they just took that Bible verse wildly out of context and ignored God. "Those dastardly rabbis," is the typical response to this. But I want us to think critically here about this. Boom, I'm at home now. But I want us to do some critical thinking about this. Now, if you were the one writing the Talmud, would this really be a story that you would include? It kind of makes you look bad, right? Is this really the kind of thing that you would write down and leave like it is? Or is there perhaps more to the story? Is there perhaps a particular lesson that the writer of the particular passage in the Talmud wants you to learn from this particular instance? It's the latter. The story continues. What is the relevance of the phrase, "it is not in heaven," in this context? Rabbi Yirmiyah says, "Since the Torah was already given at Mount Sinai, we do not regard a divine voice. As you already wrote at Mount Sinai in the Torah, after a majority you must incline." Exodus 23:2. So far what he's trying to say is, revelation was given at Mount Sinai. So any revelations after that, you can't just add that to the Torah. And the Torah specifically states that the majority rules make the halakha. That is, the Sanhedrin, with a majority rule, gets to decide what the halakha is going to be of a particular command. So, what does God think about all this? Years after, Rabbi Natan encountered Eliyahu the prophet. And what did the Holy One, blessed be he, think of all this? He smiled and said, "My children have triumphed over me." What a strange response. God is happy with this outcome? Well, yeah. And I can think of one other time, which is relevant to the article that I'm writing, where somebody said no to a heavenly voice, and God was happy about that. And that's in Acts chapter 10. It's in the New Testament. Peter is praying on a roof. The heavens open up, and a sheet full of all kinds of unclean animals is put in front of him, and a bat kol speaks, telling him to, "Get up, Peter, kill and eat." What was Peter's response? No. No? No. Peter just said no to a bat kol, a voice from heaven. Now, all my Torah-observant Christians and Messianics alike, we all know that this story is an object lesson for Peter about Gentiles and their cleanliness status. But it's exactly that, and that's why God is happy with the no. Peter is actually saying the same thing that the rabbis said in Bava Metzia. And God actually affirms that which I have called clean you must not call common. Peter basically said no because, well, the Torah already says no. So even if a voice from heaven comes down and says, "No, it's okay now," no. That's the situation that's happening in Bava Metzia. And the Torah says that the majority holds the ruling for the halachic authority, and a voice from heaven, a bat kol, comes down and says, "Change it." To which the rabbis say, "No." The story in Bava Metzia is also an object lesson. The reason God is happy with it is because he basically sent them a test, and they passed. The rabbis were following Torah perfectly and even ignored miracles and a voice from heaven to make sure that the Torah goes unchanged. God doesn't change his rules, and he doesn't expect his children to change his rules on account of him either. And that's what that test was, to see if his children would budge. And it would be incorrect if they did. It would be against Torah. And once again, this is kind of a good thing. A little bit of background about Rabbi Akiva. He was from the house of Shammai. So he was teaching Shammai's rulings. And by now, Hillel was the dominant authority. And so, inclined after the majority, Hillel's rulings were now what was going into effect. And Rabbi Akiva was still arguing for a Shammai ruling, basically. He was overruled. And good thing, too. Because the Hillelite teaching is the closest to that of Yeshua's own teachings. But that's the moral of this story. It's not that the rabbis are arrogant and just ignore God even when he speaks with a voice from heaven. The story is, they know what they're doing. The Torah says that a false prophet is one who can even perform miracles. But if they tell you to deviate from the Torah, it's a false prophet. And the Torah even reminds us that Hashem allows this. It's a test. This bat kol was one of these tests. Just like the test that was given to Peter, his response is the same, and that is a good thing. So, if you've ever wondered what's going on with that story, now you know. People ask about it all the time, so if you've heard someone ask about this, I've seen videos of it, share them this video so that they can see it, and leave a comment below and tell me what you think about it. I'm open to taking any and all questions. Now, as I'm recording this, it's about 4:30 on a Friday, so I'm gonna go start preparing for Shabbos. So to those of you who celebrate, good Shabbos.